Well, good morning. It's so cold today. It's unbelievable. I just saw my friend drive by to go home. Walking down the stairs was treachery. I have wood stairs up to my door and, of course, one good leg. So I think it was in the mid-20s last night and the stairs were frozen. I got to get some of that grippy, tapey stuff that's like sandpaper. I mean, goodness, it was cold. Oh my gosh. So, and it's a brand new staircase, so I need to do something about it. My hands were like frozen trying to get down the railing. And of course, I left my cell phone upstairs, so I had to go back up and come back down. It's like, triple the danger. So, but I managed. I did not die, so I'm still here. Anyway, I was going to tell you about the time I was ripped in half. I was two halves of a person, two chunks of people. How crazy is that? So, 15 years ago, I was in this horrendous motorcycle accident. I'd been married for a year and a half and was just loving my existence of creating a home and a family, and just worked really, really hard to create a child, and there was a lot of spinning of things and centrifuges and whatnot because I didn't really have any good swimmers. When I was 15, I used to race bicycles, and they used to tell us that there was a certain kind of bicycle seat that was really dangerous, that it would make you sterile and damage you. So I hunted one down and spent 2 hours every single day for years going completely numb between the legs. Damage? Maybe. I know that I've always had fairly low testosterone, so hey, maybe that was helpful. I know several years ago they tested me and I was well below 100. I was in the 70 range. And even my doctor said, oh, that's fine. I'm thinking, I know what the range is. No, that's not fine. That's like female range. No wonder I'm so tired and listless and, gaining weight, and all I want to do is eat. Basically a eunuch. So, anyway, I was in this motorcycle accident. I was riding along with a bunch of friends, and I think there was 32 bikes in the group, and I was riding my Ducati 900 SS. I just bought it. It was one of those black ones that looks like a Dracar Noir bottle. It's like a sexy Italian motorcycle. And so I just bought it, so I needed to break it in. And my other bike had like a loose chain, and then my big leader bike that was super, super fast had leaking carburetors. So it's like, I just get out the Ducati, So I'm putting along with my friends, and our job, my friend and I, we were the most talented riders. So our job was to tail gun the pack. We would follow everyone and keep everyone together and watch out for new riders and things like that. So we were at the back of the pack. We were out in Modesto, and as we were going down this little 2-lane road, kind of like where I am here, just 2 lanes, a divided line, and dirt on both sides, very similar. And in the opposite lane, and I don't really have a memory, I know what people told me, so I'll just repeat that. There was a car stopped, a Buick, in the lane, just stopped, and he had his wheels turned in anticipation to turn on a dirt road that was there, like a driveway or something. And there was a car behind him who was speeding. I think the speed limit was 35. This car was probably going 45, 50. And that person was intently looking at all the motorcycles going by and did not see this person that was stopped in the lane and rear-ended that person. That, of course, sent that car flying, and since his wheels were turned in anticipation of entering this driveway, the car just bolted straight across the road in between everybody else and in front of myself and my friend. My friend was one motorcycle length behind me looking forward and managed to squeeze the brakes before he slapped the side of the Buick in the back. I think I was looking off into the field and thinking, oh my gosh, this green grass field is beautiful, you know. I also seem to recall that I remember the field tilting over at a 90-degree angle and thinking that was odd. But I don't know if that's real or not. I don't know if that's an actual memory. Could be. I remember 10 seconds of the helicopter, and I knew I was gone. I knew I was done. I'd spent everything I had to live. And the only thing I could think to say was, please tell my wife that I am sorry and I love her. And that's all I could say. It's even hard to say those words now. So, I remember doing that a few more times. And apparently a surgeon said that I had fought with him about this topic. And I was broken in so many pieces. And yet I was fighting with him to go and do this for me. I need to stop for a second. So I was fighting with him to do this for me. And apparently he relented, where he had this rule he would never ever do that. And yet, I don't know how, I don't remember, but I convinced him. So he went out to where my family was and my spouse was and told them, and then promptly sat and broke down. Because I'm not going fast enough. And then came back and basically commanded me not to die. So, okay. Well, I did die 3 times. I died once in front of the helicopter, and everyone who was there thought I was gone. My friend was furious at this 15-year-old kid that had hit us. No license, no insurance, wasn't supposed to be in the country. Really unfortunate. Person behind him, same story. In his 30s. Nothing ever happened to them. I held no malice towards them. I hold no grudge. It was an accident. But it sure would be nice if they'd been responsible and had insurance, because it would have helped me an enormous amount. So, I managed to get through everything and spent over a month there. I remember I was in a coma for about a week, intensive care for, I don't know, a week or so. I had a lot of hallucinations. I remember the knobs on the cabinets kept sliding down to the floor a lot. I seem to recall a nurse who was in charge of a wound vac for my leg, whose name was Rosie, and she had an older nurse's uniform and was really quite old and was the only one that knew how to do it. You know, it was an older machine. I remember it was like a teal color. I don't know, it looked like a little tiny vacuum cleaner. I don't know what it was. A glass bottle or something. Some hoses on a table. Like a steel table. Not the kind you see now, just like an older kind of beige porcelain steel table. Anyway. So, and she used to come in every single week and do that, or every single morning for a week or two. And I used to talk to her and thank her. I couldn't really speak loudly because I'd had that intubation tube in my throat for a long, long time, and for weeks I could just barely croak and whisper. Later, before I left that hospital, I wanted to make sure that they thanked her for me because I hadn't seen her in so long. They said they didn't know what I was talking about and showed me the IV pole with the wound vac that was there. It was all modern equipment. I said, well, no, that wasn't it. And I described the nurse and that she had, so graciously come out of retirement. She's the only one that knew how to work the thing. And people had explained this to me. And they said, no, I think you imagined that. Maybe you hallucinated. I told this to one of the other doctors. Might have been Dr. Tobin. I don't remember. Maybe it was a surgeon. And they said, oh my goodness, I don't know exactly who you're referring to, but we used to have a nurse named Rosie, but she passed away 12 years ago. So that was really interesting. I have no idea what to say about that. But I spent that time there through Christmas, and I had a SpongeBob SquarePants Christmas tree. And one of the nurses would bring me CDs to listen to on a little radio that my spouse had brought. She spent all of her time sitting by the edge of my bed and got me through so much. But I managed to get through most of it, and they'd screwed my spine back onto my pelvis. So here's how I was snapped in two. The gas tank on that Ducati was turned into an accordion, almost like Wile E. Coyote style, like when he smacks a tree while he's skiing and he turns into an accordion. I did that to that steel gas tank. And on a Ducati, there's big scallops inside of the tank to hold your thighs in so you can corner really good. Well, and it held me in there really good and snapped my pelvis straight off my spine and then snapped my pelvis open and broke it. So my spine and my pelvis were completely separated. And my abdominal muscles were mostly ripped as well. So most of what was holding me together was just my skin. Luckily, none of that had broken. My arm had broken through the bones in a bunch of places, and my leg had been nearly ripped off at the knee, and they did regraft the popliteal artery with a little wrapping of Gore-Tex on that, but they weren't sure if I was going to be able to keep the leg, and I did, although it's quite often very dark and purple. Doesn't have good blood flow. My right leg is pretty much paralyzed except for a couple muscles, and I can get around, just not great. A lot of phantom pain and stuff too, even though I don't feel the leg. It's kind of crappy. But since I was literally snapped in two, they screwed my spine back onto these great big deck screws and some plates and things, and it worked. And I laid there in my hospital bed for 2 or 3 months healing. And while I laid there on my back, the way that they had fixed my spine and my pelvis back together with these screws, my pelvis kind of tilted over. It was more on the right than the left, but it tilted over and got wider and then finally set. And so my pelvis is wider than it's supposed to be. I remember the surgeon sitting down and talking and saying, look, we need to revise this. Your hips are wider and at a funny angle. It's going to be difficult to walk. And I said, well, what do you mean? And it boiled down to, well, you're going to walk like a girl. And I said, that's fine. I mean, I don't want another surgery. Just don't touch me. Don't touch me. It's fine. No, I don't want a revision. Go away. So there was no revision. And it helps me out just ever so slightly as my hips are just a little tiny bit wider than they were before. And on top of that, they cut some of the abdominal muscles to get in there to do the revisions or the surgeries. And I never, for a long time, I didn't have any abdominal strength whatsoever. I couldn't even sit up in bed. And I did eventually regain some strength, but I've never worked on it. So my abdominal muscles atrophied kind of badly, which is why I can almost touch my backbone. It's like crazy. So my waist is kind of slim in the middle, which gives me ever so slightly a modest little figure. Hey, I'll take whatever I can get, so the heck, who cares? And why not? So that helped me out. Silver lining to that cloud, I suppose, a little bit. And of course, it just destroyed the boy junk. Just destroyed it. I can only feel the right side of Mr. Happy. It's like you draw a line around him with a Sharpie pen. The left you can feel, and the right you cannot. Which, didn't work well for reproductive purposes, but good otherwise, Pull over and let some people go by. This person is wanting me to go faster. So, hey, whatever. And then it just really damaged up the family jewels. One of them's way up here, it's like at the top of the inguinal canal, and the other's about halfway up. And they're really small. They're tiny. Killed them. At one point, they wanted the right one out. And I was like, can't we just get them both out? They're both messed up. Can't we just, why wait? Why two surgeries? Just one surgery would be fine, It's about a year before I'd come out to my doctors. And they're like, you're pushing for this. You need that to, create the tiny amount of hormones that you do have, We're going to have to put you on hormone therapy, and give you testosterone. I'm like, oh, hell no. It's, yeah, we didn't do that surgery that we left it in. So they'll combine that with bottom surgery and get them out, As it is, I haven't had anything descended in so long. I hope things are stretched out enough for them to origami what I've got inside out for bottom surgery. I'm sure it's fine. I'm not worried about it. So, yeah, all of those things happened, and they screwed me all back together. Plates and screws. I got like 7 screws holding this wrist on, and it's pretty good, like I can bend it pretty good. It's not bad. I can actually play guitar, although turning it backwards is kind of tough. And I can bend down and tie my shoes, even though they, screwed so many of my vertebrae together. It feels normal to me. I mean, once in a while I get a twinge, but it's a muscle twinge and not a spine twinge. So I don't know. It seems fine. So I was 2 halves of a person, and they put me back together. Died 3 times. People just don't live through that, but I did. So hooray. Here I am, limping along and doing my best. 3 years in a wheelchair and, years on crutches. On 7/7/07, I went to a friend's wedding, and I just was done being in a wheelchair. So I did what I had to do, and it was very, very difficult, but I managed and I moved forward. So it was good to be determined. And that's where we're at. So that's the story of me being torn in 2 halves. I hope you understand that this is all about support, and I'm sharing a story that might not be real common, but I suppose you could take away from it that even with incredible physical difficulties, you can get through, and a positive mental attitude really does wonders. It got me through. So if for some reason you can adopt a positive mental attitude even through the most rough things, I'm promising you it will help. Take care of yourself. I got to go to work, and I will check in with you later. Know that I care, and I'm going to share with you. So, if there's anything that you can take away, is you're not alone. There are resources. Transgenderpulse.com has wonderful people, and resources like gender therapists in your area that you can research and go see, and suicide hotlines if you're really struggling. So I should also remind everyone, and I'm supposed to do this at the beginning now, someone told me, I'm supposed to tell you to click the subscribe button and like the video. Give me a thumbs up, and, if you'd like to make a comment. I need to know what to do with this channel, and I'm hearing from a couple of you that you really like the drives, and I thought I was boring everyone to tears with the drives and needed to get on the couch. So I'm glad that people like the drives. It's kind of like I'm just hanging out with my friends, right? So, I'll do more. They're fun for me. I like doing them. It's a little cathartic thing that I do on the way to work. So thank you for the comments. So do a thumbs up, like it, hit the subscribe button, and then you also need to do the alerts so that you get an alert when I post new content. So I'll be more diligent about starting the videos that way, although I know I watch other people's videos and I think, oh, how incessant, why are you doing that? I want to listen to you and hear your thing. So I saved it for the end because honestly, I forgot. So take care of yourself. I'll see you later. Bye.